Assalamualaikum viewers. Today me, Kamran and my team members Janzeb, Sohaib and Shivar are going to present on ethanol as the future fuel source. Our project gives an insight on the need, feasibility and production of an environment-friendly biomass fuel. In this energy hunger world and with the ending nature's energy resources, the problem now to tackle is how to meet the increasing energy demand of the world. There are more than 1 billion cars in the world and the number of vehicles produced each year now surpasses 50 million. Almost all of these cars use conventional method to power them. The graph on the next slide tells us that the world on average is 50% dependent on fossil fuels. Here this shaded area show that 50% dependency. We are too much dependent on these vehicles that we can't even think of living without them. Once all the world's fossil fuel is over, stating such fact, there is a need for technological breakthrough in fuel industry employing new ideas to power automobiles. The new breakthrough have given us following alternatives for energy: biomass, ethanol, biodiesel. Biomass is biological material derived from living or recently lived organisms. In the content of biomass for energy that is often used to mean plant-based material, but biomass can equally apply to both animal and vegetable derived material. Unlike other renewable energy resources, biomass can be converted directly into liquid fuel for our transportation needs. The two most common biomass fuels are ethanol and biodiesel. Ethanol, an alcohol, is made by fermenting any biomass high in carbohydrates like corn through a process similar to brewing beer. It is most used as a fuel additive to cut down a vehicle carbon monoxide and other smoke gases emission. Biodiesel, it is an ester, is made using vegetable oils, animal fat, algae or even recycled cooking greases. It can be used as a diesel additive to reduce vehicle emission or in its pure form to fuel a vehicle. Our project evaluates ethanol as an efficient fuel of future.
And now coming towards project assessment. We will evaluate this project in different perspectives. First, there is market appraisal. Predicting huge growth in demand of energy efficient cars is obvious because fuel rates are all-time high, and with their growing demand, their prices will also surge. To keep the effects at minimum, the people would automatically shift to this fuel. Their past and current demands of this fuel are not so good as people were unaware of importance of environmental conservation. The alternative fuel efficient cars failed to catch eyes of people as their use was limited to experiments only. But now one can predict their rapid growth, and with aid of government, their demand would be met easily. The graph below shows the current market status of this fuel, as we can see that developed nations are already using this fuel. There are no fixed boundaries for this type of fuel because the markets for this fuel are enormous due to their lower price and efficient technology. The consumer behavior toward this fuel is divided into 4 types. The consumer motivation are environmental changes and emptying resources. Their attitude and preferences are to get the same comfort and brag of today's cars, and their requirements are mainly to get cheaper and efficient drive. Now, technical appraisal. Looking at current standing, we see that concept is widely studied and researched. The concept of this new fuel-based industry is now out of drawing board and into the careful examination by experts. The main raw material for this fuel is corn and maize. They are easier to use because, with little help from government, they can be planted easily. These crops can be rotated with other crops, and they require long summer days which are suitable for our country. Their sugar content is high and require less fertilizers, and their hybrids are easily available in the market. Now this study shows the contents of a maize plant. As you can see that maize plant has 72% starch. Almost the main part of the maize plant is the starch. Commercial production involves breaking down this starch into simpler sugar compounds and recovering the ethanol. Major industrial methods are wet milling and dry grind, of which dry grind is used maximum due to the highest quality output, and the process can be built at smaller scale. Another recent study showed that there are 4 processes to get the ethanol. First there is alkali, then enzymatic process, heterogeneous process, and supercritical process. The study clearly shows that the heterogeneous process is the most optimal to get the bioethanol or biofuel from the crops.
Hi, it's Janzeb here, and I will continue with the socio-economical pressure. Studies show that the society would prosper once the project is implemented on large scale, that is on national level, as the main raw material for the production of biofuels is the corn or maize crop, so there must be enough land for large-scale cultivation of such crops. If new land is not made available for cultivation, then existing agricultural land would be utilized for this purpose, but it also has some impacts on society as people will start cultivating corn and maize considering their commercial value. At one side, we are developing the cheaper fuel, but producing this fuel would render the eatable prices high. Government should immediately act to arrange land for new crops by making use of irrigation methods to make current barren lands cultivable. When the production of this fuel will start at commercial scale, a lot of people will get jobs in the new distillation plants set up for the ethanol production. At the same time, many would lose jobs which are currently working in oil refineries and people related to other petroleum products business. If more land is made cultivable and distributed to farmers, then their standard of living will get improved. Biofuels are renewable resources, yet a wider range of environmental impacts may result from their cultivation and processing than those from fossil fuels. These range from excessive fertilizers used for their cultivation. Besides that, one should not forget that expanding agricultural energy production may lead to land use conflicts, so efficiency and the attainable reduction in greenhouse gases should not be taken as the sole criteria for an environmental evaluation of these alternative fuels. The fuel production itself causes much lower emissions than the agricultural cultivation. Biofuel requires only low emission during extraction and processing. Fuel transport from production regions, provided they are in main cultivable areas, to filling station usually comprises much less than 10% of overall emission. Considering the ever-increasing demand for low-cost fuels, this project should be started now on national level. If this project is implemented, then it can be divided into following phases. Research in which scientists and field experts should be hired to study which type of crops can be more suitable to get bioethanol. They should research for the best hybrid available and test them in different areas. At the same time, there should be a lot of research on how to simplify the procedure of acquiring ethanol from crop with best yields. Educating people, especially farmers, on the benefits of cultivating the corn and maize, telling them its commercial value. And finally, setting up large experimental fields for the production of crops, testing its useful contents, and starting a pilot project to produce ethanol from the crops. The investment in this project is quite worthwhile, as the project like this can cover its initial setup amount within 1 year. There is no risk in investing money in these products, as today's world has made people heavily dependent on cheaper fuels, so more and more people would use this fuel as time passes.
Project effectiveness. Now, bioethanol effectiveness can be measured by studying following fact sheet by UK research institution. Remember, it's a research result considering today's production. We see that although bioethanol is slightly expensive than petrol diesel, but it is much effective in decreasing carbon emissions. With time, as the government takes steps to promote this fuel, then its per litre cost will decrease as predicted in another study. The cost effectiveness of fuel from different sources is shown in a graph below. The maize has one of the highest cost effectiveness. Wheat, although at top, is not more viable to use as it is more important to be used for human consumption. The time required to set up a pilot project is estimated to about 18 months. Estimated, the government lays stress on large-scale research in this field. The ease of implementing this project in Pakistan is clearly stated as that Pakistan has all the suitable weather conditions and land available for this project, and with a little sincere efforts from government side can further push the advancement in making the use of this fuel as reality. Heading towards a conclusion, the complete discussion tells us that this project, although is time consuming, but it is quite effective and efficient with average initial cost that would be returned in early working years of project. The cost of biofuel has indeed fallen over the years, and the production process is also made efficient and simpler. Some developments such as draft fractionation technology soon to be employed industry will make the fuel progress on large scale usage. Continued high oil prices may urge the risk taking necessary to overcome the initial scale up and development costs of methanol production. Thank you.